Hi, guys. Welcome to this episode of Michelle's Opinions. Today we've got John, otherwise known as the Kryptonian, who has just started his own channel, but that's not the only reason we're here today. He's had something happen to him that just happened to me, which kind of startled me a little bit. So I tried to capture images of that with my phone the best that I can. He was actually able to capture it in the daylight sunlight with his phone, obviously able to zoom in much better than I can. So I'm going to hand it over to John and let him tell you a little bit about himself and what he's got going on, and with his channel, where he's going from there, and then we'll get into the good stuff about the body changes and the sparkles. Yes.
Well, hello everyone. As you see, I am the Kryptonian. I appreciate everyone for coming and checking out our channel here. Michelle, I thank you so much for having me on here, and I figured what better way to start my first live show than with you.
Thank you. You're sweet.
So I'm just right now. I've been trying to cover just things that I feel are odd and changing. Um, I've stumbled into the Mandela Effect I'd say about 2.5 years ago, and it's just been a crazy rabbit hole ever since then.
How long ago was it that you figured that you seen this anomaly on your skin? How long ago was that?
I'd say it was when I first saw your video. Maybe 4 months ago, 5 months ago, roughly. I can't quite remember the exact time. I know when you showed me your video that you had with your hand.
That was about a month ago. Yeah, that was about a month ago for me. Yeah. Time is, like I said, we just got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Time eludes us big time.
Yeah, it was about then, and it was right after I saw your video. The next morning, I was on my way to work, and I just happened to look down at my hand and saw that it was sparkling. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then I started seeing it going up and down my arm, so I decided to grab my phone and make a video and show everyone that, this is going on with me too. And then my wife, I mentioned it to her later on that day after I did the recording, and she stepped out into the sun and kind of took a look, and I was standing there looking at her hand, and she's sparkling too.
So it's amazing. Did you feel any pain with it or anything?
No, not at all. And it was surprising. I mean, I even went in and washed my hands a few times and my arms, thinking maybe it's something on there. Mm-hmm. And it's not going away.
No, doesn't it seem like it's just like it's under your skin? Yeah. It's like I have these little tiny dots and they're under my skin. And then when a couple of them will cluster together, it makes one big sparkle.
Correct.
It was like, wow. And I did the same thing, not with washing my hands. I went swimming for a few hours and got out of the pool, and my hands were all pruny, and my husband and I were watching, and as they dried, they went bling, 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 all over again. I was like, okay, I'm going to try and capture this. But I didn't, you can't see because it's bright from the sun, so I couldn't see what I was actually capturing, and I didn't have it zoomed in, so it really wasn't as good of a video as when I was able to do it with the false light and actually zoom in enough for people to actually see it. But you have it on other areas of your body. I mainly just see it on my hands mostly. A little bit is starting to show up on my arms, but not like my hands so far.
Correct. I noticed today that my legs actually have it, so I'm about to do another video soon so I can kind of see if I can capture it. As far as up and down my calves right now. Anywhere I think that I'm seeing it more so wherever I got dark skin. Obviously, the lighter side of my skin, I don't see it as much except on my palms. My palms, it sticks out.
Yeah, with my palm, it was on my palms. I have, which we just discussed, I have a lady, Ms. Taylor will be coming on next week. She's been experiencing this stuff for a long time. So hopefully you'll be able to catch that show, and we can learn a lot about, because she's been going through this for years and actually has pulled chunks like pieces that are unusual, to say the least, out of her skin. So that's something to look forward to. So yeah, guys, mental note, she'll be coming on next week. Um, okay, so let's talk about when you awakened. What was your, was it like the, what year was it, or what triggered it for you?
About 2.5 years ago, I'd say it was around March, I noticed the Ford symbol. The little curlicue threw me off. My best friends, since I was 16, he's always owned Ford Mustangs 5.0s. And growing up, my stepdad owned a garage, so I spent a lot of time in the garage. And when I first saw it, my first thought was, well, maybe they changed it. Well, then I kind of let it go for a little bit, and then I happened to stumble across Scarab's channel. He was the first one that kind of, I noticed that he brought it up and was showing the difference. And then from there, it just started going down the rabbit hole, worse and worse every day. It was his channel I first listened to. I think it was the main thing that drew me into him was, "Hey, party people."
Hey,
That one was like, I recognize that saying. I'm a little older. I'm in my 40s.
Mm-hmm.
So it was him, and then Lone Eagle was another one. Those were the two I first started watching.
But what drew you to them? Did you see something that triggered you? Okay, what was that?
It was the
was
first
the Ford
one was
logo or
Ford logo, and then the Kennedy car.
Oh gosh, yes, that zinged me.
That right there, because I was raised by my grandparents, so I kind of had like a generation gap skip there a little bit. They watched a lot of more older programs, and we talked a lot about Kennedy. So when I saw that the car had changed and there was more people in the car, that blew my mind. I was like, something's up. And then I just kept digging and digging, the Berenstain Bears, you name all the ones there. And I'm a big Star Wars fan too. So that Luke, I'm your father, that was just too much. And since then, I've just kind of been listening.
And, I have family members that are huge collectors. And I actually called and asked them, and they were like, I said, no, it's always said, no, I'm your father. I'm like, no, it was a huge dramatic scene. I remember it. It was like, dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Luke, I am your father. No,
Correct.
it's not. No, I'm your pappy. I mean, it kind of just took the whole zing right out of it. So
it got more personal for me was Christopher Reeves. I'm sorry, but to me, he's always been Christopher Reeves. I mean, obviously, with the name like Kryptonian, I'm a huge Superman fan.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've watched, I can literally sit through the whole movie and tell you verbatim every single thing about them. All the lyric or the lines, you name it, what's coming up next. So when I saw that the ass had fallen off, I lost it. After that, it was like, I gotta find out what's going on. And since then, I've just been digging. I just recently, only why I decided to do my own channel was because we started seeing some physical manifestations. Like I posted a video today about the Chevron and 7-Eleven kind of being together. That one blew my mind because I've never seen that. And apparently it's been around since 2003.
And you walk past that daily, right?
Daily. Every day. It was always been a Chevron. They closed down for a long time, and now they just opened it as of today. The new store. And they put up brand new pumps that say Chevron, but the store says 7-Eleven. That street
what
in
was
particular,
it before?
it was just a Chevron.
Okay, and so you didn't even see him putting up the sign for 7-Eleven or nothing with your walking back before all of a sudden, bam, it's there.
Yep.
Wow. Has anything else, have you noticed anything else physically, like body parts moving and shifting and like you feel physically different? Any of those kind of things? I know people have talked about some anatomy changes. Our heart now is in the center instead of off to the left, because when we salute the flag, we always would put our hand over our heart off to the left. Now it's in the center, and our liver's bigger so we can drink more. No, I'm kidding. But
Um,
there's just some weird anomalies going on with that. So, has any of that affected you or?
as far as the physical changes, I'd have to say the feet is what really threw me off because I remember sitting in anatomy class and just seeing, uh, remembering that the toes weren't that long. I remember being just smaller, not all the way they're showing now. So that's as far as the physical I've seen, and then obviously the in the skull. How I
All the
remember
holes.
skulls having the completely open and being black. Now they got that weird bone that's on the back of there. That I don't recall that ever being as far as in anatomy. Um,
And what about all those holes that are
oh
now in our
yeah,
skulls?
yeah, that too. That threw me off when I saw that. I was like, what is this? This doesn't look right. What prompted me to start doing my channel more so was there was another physical change, and that is my wife and I have been walking. I called up and told Scarab about this, but my wife and I have been walking past the Denny's for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
We've been at our jobs for about 5 years, and one day out of the blue, this entrance sign appeared to the Denny's that was never been there. Um, she had actually called me about it and said, "When did they put the sign in?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? There's no sign." And she says, "Yeah, on your way to work, check it out." So I walked over and I looked at it. It's been there forever. It's like you can see the rust, the grass was growing out. It's not a new sign. We happened to stop in and eat one day, and I happened to ask a waitress that I known's been there for a while, "When did you guys put the sign in?" She didn't know. And so she asked her manager, and he said, "Oh, it's been there for a while." And she's like, "Oh, I've had breaks out there, and I've never seen it." So that right there is when I started noticing that stuff was going from what I was seeing on the internet to reality, and I was like, "Okay, I got to start documenting this more and kind of track what's going on."
That's crazy. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. The whole thing's crazy. And how has
Oh,
this
yeah.
affected the way that you look around the world now?
It's kind of a little bit of has affected me because I feel like everything's kind of fake now. Um, I quit watching TV for the most part. I'll watch certain shows, but I definitely don't watch the news anymore. In fact, I go to YouTube a lot. I spend a
Yeah.
lot of my time on YouTube watching. Like your channel. You're definitely one that if I can't catch you live, I'll make sure I try to catch you when I get home and
Oh,
see
thank
what you're
you.
talking about. So, and
That's sweet.
obviously the other ones. Uh, as far as it's affected me personally only because I've been alienated from my family. Um, Especially when I try to point out some of these changes, they just quit talking to me. Um, my children, they're a little distant with me too, and honestly, I'm kind of starting to wonder if maybe it had something to do with all this because they're talking about things that just like I've never been there, and I know I've been there. So I don't know. I'm not sure what's happening. I have my theories, but again, they're just theories.
Right. And I think, all of us are, looking into what's going on. One thing that I think that the Mandela Effect showed us all is that we have more say so than we've ever been led to believe.
Yeah,
So, like,
I agree.
from within us, and right, you're right with saying, the stopped watching the television and the news broadcasting. I mean, it's in the verbiage: news, north, south, or north, east, west, south, broadcasting. And they know
Mm-hmm.
that, they put it out there as a fact. We believe it, therefore, then we don't doubt, and then we manifest it. That's one of my theories is that they get us to create the reality that they want us to, and they use those tools. And part of what with my theory being is that we deprogram and then become the programmer, and then
Mm-hmm.
learn to walk in our sovereignty, our God-given gifts and abilities that are within us, and take this place back into more of an equal and balanced, unconditional love and forgiveness, and realize that we're all brothers and sisters and we're all in this together. So, which would abolish all hierarchies, and it would just get rid of all of that stuff
Oh,
because
yeah.
the divine resides within everybody. But even
Exactly.
it seems like, what, no matter what holy book you look in, if you read when you're reading it, you can actually see that. Um, right in the beginning in Genesis, it talks about that he gave the divine breath of life. So that
Yep.
would mean that God put his essence into them, and then they were animated.
Yep. I agree. And with me, I still believe that when he says God let there be light, and they try, some people said the Big Bang, I feel it's all one. It's the same thing.
Mm.
When I was younger, I wrote a paper about, I had to write one in science about evolution. Well, I tied it into God. God splits the cell. God makes the cell alive. That's just always been my firm belief. And I don't understand division quite in a lot of ways. I don't understand how people can be divided. Well, no, it's science. There's like, no, man, it's all one. We're all here together. We're all going through this together. I feel bad for the people that aren't seeing this, or not, that they go through life like they do, and they don't realize that things are changing and things aren't the way they used to be. Now, what happened? I don't know. You know, I I have my own theory. I don't talk about this too much, but there was in this situation back in 2012 where I saw something strange. It was right
Ooh,
before.
he's opening up to us, guys.
Yeah, a friend of mine was sitting one day and we are talking, and I don't know if you've ever seen like like when they separate water, like if they're draining something, like it almost looked like a sheet, and
Mm.
it was very clear, and me and him were sitting there talking, and it like literally came into our place and went across. And I sat there for a minute, and then he looked right at me and says, "Did you see that?" And I said, "Yeah, I saw that." I go, "I just didn't want to say anything because I didn't know, maybe I was losing my mind at that point or something happened."
Wow.
And it just seems like ever since that event, that's when I started noticing a lot more of the changes that were taking place.
So, okay, in the water, you saw what looked like a sheet.
No, like I was trying to explain how it goes because it's hard to explain it. I guess did you ever see the movie The Abyss? Do you remember that movie at
People
all?
ask me about movies all the time, and I love watching movies, but it sounds familiar, but I don't know. Give me a little background on it.
The Abyss was basically, it was a bunch of scientists that were down deep in the ocean, and they discovered an alien life form that
Oh,
was using water. Uh, Mer- Meredith Steenberg, I believe, was in it, and a couple other people. Basically, no, we were sitting here. It wasn't water, but it looked like, I guess, that like a water. Like picture, like if you were to take two sheets of clear plastic, stick them in the water, and then you slid them out to create a dry spot. That's, you see what I'm saying? It was here.
oh,
It was here. Like, I mean, I was sitting and we were just sitting here talking, and it looked like a clear, weird, wavy
oh
wall
my! Like an
that
energy
slid
wave.
across. Yeah, it just literally. I mean, it wasn't even wave. It was just very kind of solid and straight, and it just went from one side to the other side, and it just kept going and then disappeared. And it was like,
Whoa.
I don't know what that was. I let it go. I just figured, all right, maybe we just saw something weird, or light was playing with our eyes. I don't know. But I just noticed that ever since that time on, that's where all these changes started to ramp up.
Wow. So that basically then your awakening process. Sometimes we think that like that Mandela effect would be your wake up time. But
Yeah.
usually it starts much earlier, but then your awareness of
Mhm.
what's going on then starts ramping up. So
Correct.
now let's back up. Now we're talking 2012 that you saw this anomaly, which is you're it's odd, and
Yeah.
it's not something that would be seen by everybody, but you were able to see it, and it's almost like nudges of it's time. It's time for you to start, becoming more aware. And it is a gradual process. Because could you imagine, you know, going to bed one night and waking up and this whole place is just completely changed? How many people would just lose their mind? It
Oh
almost
yeah,
seems like
definitely.
it's going in. People are losing their mind over the Mandela Effect. It just imagine it just being waking up. It's completely different. So it's almost like it's being done in a gentle way, so that we could be brought along. So we just don't think we're losing our mind, even though we still think we're losing our mind. I
Yeah,
mean, there's
definitely.
still times I'm like, what the heck is going on? Am I losing my mind? I question my sanity all the time, but the things just keep happening and they keep, and I call it like set the refinement period. And it seems like sometimes we'll go in, it'll seem like we're going in circles by like certain situations will come back around, but you handle it differently, and then it'll come back around and test you just one more time. How are you going to handle that? And then soon you don't have to deal with that one anymore. And you go on to the next one. It's it's just amazing. What are we being prepared for? That's what. And I'm not thinking like a total destruction type thing. I'm thinking more along the lines that there's people being prepared for, if people aren't seeing these things that we've been seeing, mine's been decades and yours has been almost a decade. And 2022 would be a decade. Well, you're being prepared to help somebody along the way that is not seeing anything right now, that may all of a sudden get a whammy wake up.
Exactly.
Does that make sense? Like,
Oh yeah.
some people are being put into place just because of their energy, that their heart based, that radiates so far around us. You know, we talk about, or I've talked about before, you can slice up this avatar suit in a gazillion pieces, but you're never going to find me.
Hmm.
These are
Right.
just suits that we're wearing so we can experience and broaden our perspective. And, if we didn't have them, we wouldn't be able to feel what bad is so we can choose good. We
Yeah.
wouldn't know what lack is so we can appreciate abundance. I mean, and I see the place and why duality was needed. But I feel like we're coming out of that place because it seemed like it just got out of control. Hierarchies were formed, people were being oppressed. That we're coming into a time where like the boot is coming off our neck, and we're rising up to the true people and our authentic selves, with all your gifts and your senses and everything. Because we're six sense beings, not five sense beings. And the sixth sense enhances the five senses. Like
Yeah.
visually seeing that would be an enhancement of your vision.
Yeah.
You're seeing another realm, obviously. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I want to see. I kind of sometimes don't want to see other realms. So
Well, yeah. And sometimes when we're seeing things, oh, now I can't see the chat at all. Sorry, guys. Um, Sometimes the things that we're seeing are the darkness that we've created around us that we need to face. And then, because then we have the power to get rid of it, because we created it, we can get rid of it.
yeah.
Kind of like the secular, going up, 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 even though you think you're going in circles, you're really not. You're going up. It's like a
Spiral.
spiral staircase. Somebody mentioned something about DNA having encoding of our ancestral history is in our DNA, and that our DNA is now being unblocked, and we're becoming aware of who and what we truly are. I thought
Yeah.
that was a pretty interesting theory, you know, to put out there too. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, definitely with DNA, I can, I saw something similar to that about I believe it was what I saw was about the second chromosome. That there was something unique and different about it. That was, they were looking in, I can't remember what video it was something I watched the other day. Um, yeah, I mean, anything's possible. I mean, that's just my biggest thing I've noticed. I mean, I really believe there's a lot more to this world than people are, that we see every day. We get caught up in our own lives every day, and the mundane routine that we go through. I believe sometimes, we miss things. And myself, I've just always believed there's always more. There's a lot more going on than what meets the eye. I've always
Mm.
felt that way. Um, you can go from down to legends, you name it. It's like, well, why is it called a legend? It had to start somewhere. And,
Right.
I just feel like we get it in pieces only because I don't think we could take it all at once. Like you said, if we was to get hit with we'd short circuit. That'd be the end of it. And, so you got to take it a piece at a time. And I
Mm.
believe some people can handle a lot more than others.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you can handle certainly a lot more than I would be able to, and vice versa. There's certain things that I could probably look at and be like, yeah, okay, cool. And you like, I don't know.
Not necessarily. It's taken me a long time to get where I'm, at least getting a concept on what's going on. Now, you have another very interesting aspect of interest that you are very interested in. You want to get into that and share what you've got on the supernatural?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's naturally
I
supernatural.
I I try not to get into it so much sometimes, only because there's that level of I try not to bring, I don't want to bring it into me or around me type deal. But yeah, I when I'm not watching your channel or other Mandela channels, I kind of venture off and watch some hauntings channels. It's just because of my own personal experiences. When I was younger, we were living in one house up in Orange City, Florida, and my sister and I, my mom and dad worked, so they were gone all the time. But my sister and I didn't want to stay in the house. We'd always be outside from literally the time we got home from school till they got home at 11 o'clock at night. We'd rather be outside than in the house. There was one time I walked in. We walked in from going out for a night of dinner, and I walked in my room, and all my dresser drawers were flowing across the room. Just all my clothes spread out, no explanation for it. Um, my mom and dad used to breed golden retrievers to sell, and we had one time where they bred them and they came out all black. My sister had two white rabbits that had babies. They came out all black. uh, my
Wow.
step my stepdad used to yell at us a lot, saying we'd always leave the water on when we didn't, and they didn't tell me till years later that there was something going on in the house. My mom had told me that they were up one night watching TV, and she had all these books up on a shelf, and something like a hand just flung them out of the closet onto the floor. And then my stepdad said he was home one time because he had hurt himself. He's hurt his back, so he was sitting at home. He heard the water going. Kind of, he said under his breath, he cussed us out because he thought we left it on. He said he turned it off, walked out of the room, and it came back on. And he finally asked the landlord about it, and the landlord said he's been having a hard time renting the house because apparently an elderly woman was living there at the time that owned the house, and somebody escaped from a prison, and they chased her through the house and brutally murdered her.
Oh.
And we noticed that the floor and the walls, there were certain floors and walls that were different. That like because it was all wood floor, so there were certain wooden floor that you could tell that were new and not.
Mm.
So once they found that out, we're out the door. That was the end of that.
So
So,
she must have gotten stuck.
mm-hmm.
Because
that,
yeah, we just did one. I did one with Eileen. And we were talking about near death experiences, and when I got hit by the car, which was a traumatic event, I was out of my body and I was somewhere else. I felt no pain. It was wonderful. Um, a lot of times, though, just food for thought on when you're looking at this kind of stuff. Think about the belief structures that the individuals may or may not have. and the possibility that they could be manifesting these things around themselves as part of their reality, as part of their experience. Just something to
Well,
think about.
yeah, and another event. This happened about 2 years ago. We were here in this place, not here, but here in the same location. My wife and I had a radio on one night, and it was an older radio. You remember the old boom boxes with the dial. We were sitting here and listening to the music, and then the dial changed on us. It went to a completely different song. And neither one of us were near it. So after that, I was kind of like, all right, and I said my prayer. We prayed, asked for the Holy Spirit, get rid of it, and now things have been okay since then. But I look at it sometime. I just don't try to get it into too much, because then I know with my mind I'll start to think about it at night, and then of course any noise you hear, what's that? Oh,
Yeah, we gotta pull
So
you. We gotta pull you up out of that fear, and let's think about even that one in a different direction. Just just food for thought. The universe tries to talk to us. God tries to talk to us in
oh yeah,
any way, to reach out to let us know it's there. You know,
yeah,
it's there. She's there. I won't even put a sex on it because I think God is way above and beyond. I think it's all in all. Okay.
I agree.
So if a song changes, it's like trying to get your attention. I'm here. Just ask for me to come in and help. I'm here to help you. We also have some people call them spirit guides. Some people call them guardian angels. Um, you know, we have or higher self. We have assistance. It's there, but they also will. Sometimes they like to play. They have their sense of humor, and but they're wanting to let you know the help is there. And I've listened to a few people that have actually had really good information come through their electronics to give them messages, and that's their mode of communication with the divine, with the universe, and it's just food for thought. Yeah, I've heard a lot of different things from a lot of different people, and once you knock that fear out of the way, oh my goodness gracious, you'll open up to an understanding and a communication and a connection with Jesus, with the Holy Spirit, if that's where your faith, or source or higher self, wherever. We've got to get the fear out of the way so that way we can grow. And it is a refinement period. And I'm not going to tell you that I didn't run around like my hair was on fire in the beginning too, when all this stuff started opening up within me, and I'm like, what's going on? So, that was part of the reason I opened the platform, was to help people to lose the fear of the process that they're going through, kind of get an understanding on it so then they can grow. And also to share what we know, like having the sparkles showing up and now on your legs too. Your
Yeah,
body is changing.
yeah,
Um, what were we before this alleged fall? Right? It even says
true.
in scripture that they covered us with animal skins because we realized we were naked. Well,
Mhm.
everybody just assumes that means he put fur on us, right?
Yeah,
But what if this is the animal skin and we're
that is
going
true.
back to what we were before?
Hey, that's definitely good food for thought. And see, that's one of the reasons why I love your channel so much, and I love listening to you, because you're always positive. Yeah, I mean, even if I'm feeling bad, I can listen to you, and you always bring me up. It's
Aw,
just it
that's
is. It's
sweet.
great. I mean, you bring on some great people. I listen to them, and again, it's just definitely one that you're definitely in my top, my top list that I
Well,
listen
I'll
to.
tell you what, the people that I've encountered, the people that I've met through this are amazing, awesome people. Oh my goodness gracious. I mean, off the charts. Just so full of love, unconditional love, and just unconditional forgiveness. And you can feel it. The love is just tangible, and you're in the right place. You're
Oh yeah.
you're around the right people. You're floating around the right community, with the different channels that you visit. And if they're trying to use fear and hellfire and condemnation, like I brought it up a couple times in my videos about just ask those two simple questions,
Yep.
and then make your discernment, or have your own questions on how, because you're a sovereign being and you're going through this refinement, so there'll be something that is your radar detector to find out whether or not, should I be listening to this person. Now, looking into something that is a curiosity, especially since your parents confirmed something with you when you were a child. When you're a child, you're a sponge. You're absorbing everything that's going on, and you trust people. And so, and you didn't have an understanding. But now, as you're growing up, your curiosity, because you're going to get to the bottom of it, you're going to figure out
Yeah.
what it is. And the way that I figured out, because I have the same curiosity, I like watching that stuff too. But what I figured out is most times, not all times, but most times, it would be heavy religious people that would have like a possession or some kind of haunting. Not every occasion, but a lot of times.
To me, I noticed it felt like it was one in particular branch of that religion for some reason.
Interesting.
That's what I'm seem to notice. It's one of those in my pursuit of God and my spirituality. I was one type of religion. I was Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I had a problem with it from my mom raised me that way, as like most people, and I had a problem with first of all confession. It's one of those. God knows what I do. One
Right.
day,
Yeah, if you
so
think
why
God's
why
that
do
small that
I?
you need to go tell a man about it, no,
Yeah,
God knows.
correct. And so I never did do that. And it seemed like that's the only one. And again, I'm not knocking anyone else, but it just seemed like that's the only one where the possessions and exorcisms and all that other stuff happen to follow on. You don't hear about it too much in any of the other religions. And
Until some strange movies came out. Like, what's that one with Keanu Reeves?
Constantine,
Constantine, yeah.
yeah,
Then it branched out a little ways outside of the church format, because then these
yeah.
people are like, oh my God, did that happen? Oh, and then they manifest it because they're
And
broadcasting this out. So we gotta
believe it
know,
or
we
not,
gotta know that's entertainment and shield ourselves.
oh yeah, and believe it or not, Constantine's based off of a comic book. It's a DC comic book character.
Really
Oh yeah,
interesting, nice.
yeah. Me being Superman and all that. Yeah, John Constantine's based off of a DC comic book character. It was called DC Dark. They do a couple of different characters, but he's one of those. That's where it came from.
And you know what? I love that movie. So that's what I'm saying. I have interest in those things too, but
Mhm.
I just shield myself and realize that if I'm watching a movie, it's not real life. I shield myself. I enjoy myself. I'm not going to allow them to entertain me, enter
Yeah,
and detain me. I'm going
yeah.
to shield myself. I'm going to enjoy the movie, and I'm going to walk away. No more thought into it. It's
Well,
and they tell us
believe.
in their verbiage. They just
Oh
tell
yeah.
us. It's right
Well, me,
there.
I was always a scaredy cat, so I didn't watch too many scary movies when I was growing up. I had uncles that used to scare me a lot, so that was part of it. I was a little traumatized. Matter of
Oh.
fact, Mrs. Kryptonian, she likes to watch those horror movies, and I tell her no, because you don't hold me at night.
No.
you, won't,
Oh
you
my
won't hold me.
God.
And I'm actually 6'4", so that's the funny part. I'm not a small guy. I'm a really big guy, but I tell no, I'm not watching
Oh
that.
no,
No,
what is that?
no.
Especially your uncles were trying. They thought they were probably doing a good thing, trying to toughen you up, but really they
Yeah,
traumatized you.
yeah. No, there's this certain there were certain movies I wouldn't watch. That I mean, my sister and all them were on, but I didn't want to part. Anything gory, I didn't care for too much.
Yeah.
Constantine, Constantine, I could handle because again, I knew the comic.
Oh,
But
okay. Yeah, yeah.
some of those other ones, it was just like, like Chainsaw Massacre. No, not watching that.
Ooh,
You
Friday the
name it.
13th. I was a kid when that came out, and we were
Yeah.
going to sixth grade camp, and we had those log little cabins and stuff, in the Friday
Mhm.
the 13th, and I mean, oh my gosh. So the boys were going around the girls' cabins, and I was like, it was terrible. But so yeah,
Yeah.
I
No.
get it, and that's why it says don't watch it. I think 13 is too young. I think when you're still absorbing everything like a sponge,
Hmm.
you shouldn't allow that kind of information in, because then it takes root in there, and then you start believing it, and when you start believing it, then you start manifesting it, and then it starts becoming a part of your reality, and then you got to then go through the process of deprogramming yourself, so then you can take back your sovereignty and become the programmer, because
Oh
that's
yeah.
what we all are. We all have so much say so much more than we ever thought. So,
Oh yeah. I watch movies like this.
but what interests me is that you won't watch the horror movies, but you are interested in Ghostbusters. Like into
Yeah,
the
yeah.
paranormal. So, have you ever went and explored for yourself anything
I,
paranormal?
I not at night. I was going to at one time, but I just kind of shied away from it.
You're making me
Uh,
laugh.
well, that's why I do
It's
that
an
a lot.
interest of
So
mine, but I don't do it at night.
no,
Mm-mm.
no, no. No, I did go. We did go one night. Me and her were because here in Florida, we went to St. Augustine, and we did walk around there at night one time because I was trying to see. I was trying to see the cannon, see if they did the cannon lights. I don't know. I think it was Ghost Adventures was the one that did it, where they caught the cannons being fired at night and the light
Really?
lantern. Yeah. So after we saw that episode, we were coming back from Jacksonville, and we were like, "Oh, let's stop in there for a while." And we kind of walked around. I hadn't seen anything. Uh, Other than that, no, I haven't gone on any tours. I mean, I've been to the fort. I've tried to take some pictures just to see if something will pop up, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
other than
love it
that,
when
no.
they take those photos, and then something just kind of creeps in and wants its picture taken
Yeah,
too. It's like, hey,
yeah.
because there are cameras that can actually pick that up. Now,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not saying that there's not, other dimensional beings walking right beside us that are out of our field of vision. But I
yeah.
think as time is going on, our field of vision is improving, where we wouldn't want that to just pop open overnight either. It's got to be adjusted where we can see a little bit at a time, because if all of a sudden your eyes were popped open and you saw all of these other realms around you, that could freak some people out. But
Oh
if you
yeah.
realize that you've been walking around with them this whole time and they haven't been able to do anything, most things that they could try to do is influence, whisper things in your ear to cause doubt. They're pretty harmless. I mean, or uh, they would have already did you harm. I mean, it's just, I, it would be an interesting to observe somebody have their eyes popped open where they can see all that. But
Yeah,
I don't want to be the one that has that happen to me.
yeah, nah, me neither. Yeah,
Just
I don't,
gradually.
you
I'll
know,
take it. I'll take it gradually. I have actually interviewed some people that their field, their Merkaba, or their Taurus field, or
yeah,
some people call it the morphogenic field, is so big that their whole room, you can just see the waves of the energy all around them. So, with even if these beings come into our visibility, we have to realize how big our energy fields go out and how strong that we are. And when we have our shields up, they can't do anything. They're pretty
Yeah,
much just there. You
you're right.
know. So have you ever seen? I'm gonna birdwalk off of our prior conversation. Have you ever seen an alien or ships in the sky or any of those odd anomalies?
I'm into that. I chase it, but no, I've not yet. I'm hoping to see one day. I'd like to see a ship. I mean, nothing I can really could sit there and say that, yeah, oh man, that was a UFO. I mean, I look at some people's channels, what they show, but I've never personally, no, I've seen an alien or a UFO or anything else odd like that. Like I said, to my knowledge, now there was one time I've joked with the wife about, oh, I think we were abducted, but I think it was just we had too much to drink that day. So that's where I think that came from.
You got abducted, all right, into alcohol. Somebody brought up something interesting about the sparkles, that are showing up, and they said, this is not my information. I can't remember it was in a comment that it's fairies. It means that there's fairies around us. So, all of these things that were like you brought up, myths,
Yeah.
folklore, are seeming to be coming into our reality, whether we're bringing them in by manifesting them or that they've been part of the truth and the truth is being revealed.
Yeah.
So, it's just an interesting time to be alive.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I shared something with. I mean, it's not just that. It's like extinct animals are coming back. I sent Scarab a link the other day when he did it on his not this past Monday,
Excuse me.
but the last Mandela Monday show. Colorado found a cutthroat trout that was supposed to be extinct, and all of a sudden it's back in the waters. I saw on Animal Planet there's a show where this guy's finding all types of extinct animals that people thought were gone, but they're coming back.
Let's not
It's
bring back the dinosaurs, okay?
oh yeah, I agree with that. I don't want to see no part of that.
Yeah, no, no,
You
no.
know, no, we don't need Jurassic Park. I've seen all those movies. No,
Yeah,
thank you. We
well,
don't.
unless, we can saddle them and ride them because, they'd be a heck of a mode of transportation. They could go super duper fast and they wouldn't like be burning like fuel, and carbon monoxide into because they just would run. They maybe could
Well,
run 60 mile an hour. Never know.
and and it's funny you bring up aliens. See, now I was like, I'm big on like I used to watch Ancient Aliens. Have you ever seen like some of the uh, ancient civilizations? There was carvings of dinosaurs and people riding with them.
No.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're starting to think the dinosaurs didn't quite die out 65 million years ago. Just because how could these ancient civilizations have such intricate drawings and I mean carvings where they're showing like stegosauruses and they got like saddles on them and they're and like giant brachia brachiosauruses and they're riding them. It's really crazy that they show that. I mean, these are like it was like down in South America somewhere they got these carvings like on these stones
I
and they
did see
hurried up.
something about that they're finding soft tissue in these
Yeah.
bones, and that's not possible if they were that old.
Oh well, they just recently found one. I think they found a dinosaur skin of. I don't know the name of the dinosaur, but it's kind of like walks on all fours. Looks kind of turtle, hard shell. Um, I think it had something on its tail, but they actually found the skin. I read an article about that they actually found an attack in one of the um, glaciers that melted. I believe it was that they're
Really?
showing. Yeah, that they actually were able to show an intact skin of a dinosaur. And then I've even seen someone, I've looked up things where they've shown like dinosaur prints in stone that was mud and human prints next to it to show that someone walked barefoot right next to it. So
They weren't afraid.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of those you don't know. I mean, the world's a very crazy place, and I've done a lot in my years of looking at a lot of different things. That's why, like your example, when you brought up mythology, mermaids. I truly believe mermaids are out there somewhere, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just my own belief because why do we have so many stories about it? It just doesn't make sense, and it's not just us; it's all over the globe. It's the same with like when people talk about dragons. There's some sort of mythology everywhere all over the globe about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's why I feel like something happened maybe at one point. We maybe were enlightened, but somewhere along the line we got dumbed down. I don't know what, obviously, to where we're just coming back up. Um, in Egypt, I know Scarab likes talking a lot about the Egypt pyramids. Did you ever see the one hieroglyphs that showed like Apache helicopter and an airplane and
Yeah, I've seen the one, and also a UFO and things like. There's
yeah,
some weird stuff in those hieroglyphs. It's like what? But then again, if it's changeable, are we changing it? Are we changing those hieroglyphs? Just like the
true.
Bible's changing. I mean,
Yeah,
just like the 7-Eleven with the chevron, the
yeah,
logos. These things are changing, and I'm leaning towards the camp of that it's us, and I think that when we get enough of us aware enough, that remove the fear and remove the doubt, that it's like a majority thing, and the things will change for the better. We won't go
yeah.
down that dark path because enough of us will know what we are, and we will completely pull that outcome off the table because nobody really wants it.
Mhm.
So it's really interesting. So, what are your plans on your channel? I know you're going to do a video showing the sparkles on your leg, and remember, Tony's coming on. I'm going to try and get her for Monday. I've got to check with her on her schedule. But what else are you going to be? You're doing Mandela on there.
Yeah. Kind of been digging into electric cars. That one's got me really baffled because apparently they've been around since the 1800s.
Oh my gosh, I know. Oh, that's weird.
I've come across some things where I kind of can show different model, pictures of different ones that have been around, and so it's very odd that we've had this technology that's been around for so long, but yet we're just now seeing it with Tesla and some of the other companies.
Free
And I understand,
energy.
yeah,
Yes.
and I understand that the oil companies had something to do with that, but it just doesn't make sense why we didn't see this more. Um, Other things than that, it's just I guess it's whatever might spark my interest. I was gonna looking at because I kind of believe in the possibility of parallel universes. Of course, being a comic fan, that's just a give. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's been put in our face a lot more. Like we were conditioned maybe for this. If that's what it is, if the Mandela Effect's part of a parallel universe, I know that they produced some articles about finding a cold spot in our universe, and they said there was a article about it saying that there was possibility of a parallel universe bumping into ours. So I just noticed in movies, in books, in everything, this has been put out there, and I sometimes feel like we're being conditioned for certain things. Um,
Through the
Other than that,
television,
yeah, well, not just television. I mean, in comic books, again, me being a big
video
comic book
games.
guy, they're everywhere. Video games, movies, you name it. It's talked about it, and I think there's a little bit more to it than just fiction, in my opinion. So that's where I'm leaning right now. When I get time, that's the problem. It's one of those sitting here trying to think about it, how am I going to get it together, and get it out there for people to see, and then get feedback. Like with
You'll get
my
your rhythm.
Sparkle video, huh?
You'll get your rhythm.
Oh yeah, and like with my Sparkle videos, I've gotten a lot of positive one. I had like one negative. One guy got very negative. I had to block one individual because it was just like I don't want anyone negative on my page.
Mm.
You,
It's your
you can
page.
express it. You can express it in. You can express your distaste in a more professional way. But then to sit there and tell me like, oh, you need to comment like, well, you need to get off the gas. Well, okay, you know what? Bye. It's simple as
Right.
that. I don't need to.
Right.
I
Well,
don't need to read that.
not everybody's going to agree, and that's okay, but
Oh yeah.
there's a right way to disagree, and then there's a way that's just harmful. And
Oh yeah.
you can discern the difference if they're just there to be, trolly and just, you know, provoking, then you don't have to deal with that. They can go start their own platform and do their own thing over there.
Exactly. Because that's basically it. It's one of those, when I ask a question, give me your honest opinion, but you can do it in a way that without having to call me names or
Right.
completely get all belligerent. Because I don't believe that. I don't talk that way. I may say I disagree, and that's it. And why? Okay, I'll give you my point. Great, so be it. I appreciate your input, and I'll keep that in mind, and I'll move on.
Right.
But other than that, no, you don't need to sit here and get belligerent with me because it's just not worth. It's not worth my time. I mean, for one, it's words, and the way I've always believed is words are just a bunch of sound put together. It's how you let those words affect you.
Right.
And you know, in my line of work, I get called a lot of names, so I'm used to it there. But I'm being paid, to do it. That's the difference. You're paying me to put up with it there. It's like when I'm home on my time, that's different. I don't need to put up with it. So
Right, right. And the thing of it is just realize this too, is when people are saying things, they really don't know much about your life. They don't know until you've walked a mile or lived in that condition or that situation and felt what that person's felt and actually know what that person's been through. We shouldn't be making judgments or talking down to other people at all because
I agree.
none of us are perfect. None of it. There's
Oh
no
yeah,
one that is perfect. But in this community, we're just trying to share, lift each other up, and embrace these gifts to let them be nourished and flourish. And from what I've seen on the content that you've put out, it's going to be very interesting because you're not typecasting yourself into one type of one platform. Period. You're talking about all the different things that you're seeing and what's
hmm
going on, and that's it's gonna. I see it doing wonderful things, and
oh, I
you
appreciate it.
will not believe this, but it's already been an hour.
Oh
Um, I
wow.
These conversations go by so fast, and I apologize, guys. Soon I'll be able to read the chat at the same time. Right now I had to put my husband's down because we kept malfunctioning. But let me at least try for people I could see. I'll
Yeah, see if
do it.
anyone maybe had a question.
Oh my
I'll
gosh!
be
And then
do
it
my
just
best to answer.
hold on. It just there we go. Let me just say hi to some people. Okay, we've got Josie. Oh, her power's on. It must be on. She's on the internet. Kate
Right on.
Wright. One Eileen Colts. Pat on the back. The Hermione. Oh, I did it again. I don't have no excuses. Not 3 in the morning. The Harmonizing Fool. Mrs. Kryptonian. T. Taylor. The Fifth World. If I miss you, I'm so sorry. The Enlightened Kelter Celt. He goes by either. Fifth World, I don't know if I said her or not. Probably did. Renee Garcia. Let's see how far this will let me go back. Teresa Della Vega. Um, oh, there's a bunch of people in here.
Nice.
Probably good that you didn't notice that. It might have made you nervous. Does anybody have any questions for the Kryptonian? All of his channel information is in the show more notes. I did make a boo boo and I did not put Eileen's on my homepage. It's there now. So is his channel. So I make them easy to find. After they do an interview, they show up on my homepage, and then as new ones come in, then they fall off. But they're always in the show more notes in the description box for everybody to be able to find and go over and subscribe and show your support, because this community is amazing and we are all in this together. And do you have anything that you want to say? Let's see, I don't see any real questions. I see, okay, just today. Wait, I was hoping you were refreshed and sleeping sound last night. Okay, okay, I think they're talking to each other.
Okay. Well, all I say is I want to thank everyone that has subscribed to my channel. I appreciate it more. I didn't think anyone would really want to listen to what I had to say or show. I'm going to definitely start doing some more live streams though myself on my own channel.
Oh, you? I didn't know you live streamed.
I haven't yet. You're actually my first doing anything live right now. But now that you showed me how, I didn't know how to set it up was primarily what I was running into.
And
But now that
if you need help with that, give me a holler, and I will
okay.
help you go in and get that started for you.
Yeah.
Stay online with me for a few minutes. We'll talk a little bit
Okay.
more on the techie stuff. They don't care about that. They just wanted to hear what you had to share, and make sure you tune in. I'm hoping to get her Monday with Tony Taylor,
Oh yeah, definitely.
because she's been going through what we're beginning to see on our skin for a very long time, and
Yeah,
I'm thinking we're going
she's
to get a
messaged.
wealth of information from her. So
She's commented. She's given me some nice comments on there, and in fact, she messaged that she was going to be on there. So I want to say personally hi to you, and definitely I appreciate your support. Again, the love that you all have given me, I appreciate it so much. So, and not to steal from somebody else, but love yourself and love your neighbor.
that's right. And treat others as you want to be treated, and
Exactly.
that's my golden rule. So, okay, it's going to get a little wonky on you guys just for a second. And let's see what we got going on here.